All right, guys. Well, welcome to our cafe. Again, I'm Celeste Flores. I am a third grade teacher at Howard Pence, and I am not by any means an expert on sheets, especially when it was just mentioned right now from Carol that, she uses some formulas a little bit here and there. Well, you are better than me with that because I haven't gone to that piece of it yet. I'm like, nope, I'll just use my little handy dandy calculator for now. But what I do hope to share with you guys today are some useful ways that you could use it other than just data entry and adding and closing things up. So my thoughts were, first, let's get us started. Let me share my screen. And please, please, please stop me at any time to have me repeat things, I already know that. Can you share some? Do you know anything about this? This is all going to be molded to you guys. So one of the first quickies that we figured out is if you just open up a tab and you type in sheets.new. Mila, you're going to like this one because normally what I end up doing is I go to my Google Drive, I opened up my tab for my 2021 distance learning, I go to whatever envelope or folder I want to open my sheets in, which takes a little extra time, right? But I can just type in sheets.new and it's going to open up a brand new sheets. And as soon as I put a title on it at the top, and I'm going to call this, we'll say Tech Cafe. We'll say Tech Sheets. It will then allow me to go ahead and put it in whatever folder I want it to. So I can easily go here to the folder up at the top and then do the same little Sheets, Google 2021 distance learning, and then find whatever classroom I want to put it in. But I'm not going to do that today. So the one thing I love about Google Sheets is it does hold the list of all my data collection if I need, but I can also use it for teaching. So we know that like anything with Google, they have a lot of similar tools. So first things first would be, let me show you some examples of how you can use this. Let me move this over. Let's go here. Oops. There we go. Sorry, guys, trying to move these bars over. So I know one way a lot of us use Sheets is by adding in students' names or record collection. But what you may want to know is how to add different sheets. So you can see down at the bottom, I have, let's say, something for ELD with a little purple coloring on it. I have math. I have reading. I have writing. And so sometimes we think Sheets is just one document and I can't really add on multiples to it. So the way we do that, let me go back to my Google Sheets, is let's say I'm going to title this page 1. Horrible title, but that's what we're going to do. And down at the bottom, at the very bottom, you're going to see the plus sign. The plus sign is going to add multiple sheets. And this is indicating that we have sheet number 1 right now. But I don't want to call that sheet number 1. I want to call that, actually, let's just call it math. I like that better. We're going to call it math. So when I click the arrow, you're going to have a collection of tools that you can do some things with that tab. So I'm going to first rename it, and I'm going to call it math. And there it is. However, I still wanted to color code it because math in everything in my class is going to be red notebooks, you name it. So I'm going to make it red. And now I have a tab. But if I include, let's say I put student 1, I have student 2, I have student 3, I have student 4, and let's say that's all in my class. And I want to repeat the same information on my next sheet. Okay, so of course, those of you that are new, I apologize. To put the data in any cell wherever I click, that's where information is going to go. Wherever I click, information is going to go. Okay, so pretty much start everything over on our first column A, and then when you hit enter, it goes down to your rows vertically. So if I wanted to now make one for reading, I'm going to come down here and I'm going to hit the add sheet, and you'll see that it added another tab at the bottom. So once that new tab is added, I can do the same thing that I did here, and I'm going to rename it. And let's say this is ELA, and everything for my ELA is blue. So I'm going to color code that also with blue. And the process can keep going on. Now, for those of us that are new, this is very ugly, very boring. And if we want to make it look like so, we can do some shading and some coloring and some bolding, just like you would in slides or docs. So we can do the same things here, and you do that with the same tool. So if I want to click on math, and let's say I wanted to make math red, I'm going to come up here to my letters, make them red. If I wanted to shade though, I might shade it in. Oops, sorry, wrong cell. See, whatever cell you click in, that's what it does. I would click in math and I would click it red. But those of you who are blind like me realize that that's way too small. So how do I make it bigger? Just like you do in Google Docs or Google Slides. You're going to either click and increase, make it bold. So whatever cell, again, that you click in, you can do the same things that you do in Google Docs by adding color, changing the font color. And you can, if you drag across, if you click the number 1, this entire row to infinity and beyond is going to do what you say. So if I want to click it red, it's going to make that whole thing red. Okay, but we're not going to go there. We don't need to go there. So any questions so far on this? This is kind of some of the basic stuff for our beginners.
You mentioned if on the second sheet, if you wanted to carry over that list of names, how do you do that?
Awesome. Okay, so let's say everything is still the same, right? I'm going to, the easiest way is I can go to this corner. See where it says number 1A and there's a little corner spot? When I click on that, it highlights the entire page. So if I want to take the skeleton of it, I'm going to click on that, and you can do one of two things. You can right click and hit copy. Or when you click on that, you can go to edit and click copy from there, or you can do Control C. Whatever you like, it'll do the exact same thing. So I'm going to copy it, and then I'm going to go to slide or sheet 2, and I'm going to come back to my corner, and I'm going to either right click or hit Control V or go to edit, and I'm going to paste it. And so it's going to give me exactly what was on the maths sheet. So now I can just highlight. I don't know why that keeps coming up. And I'm going to change it to ELA. Forgive me. And then I'm going to change it to blue. I'm going to go to my paint can again and change it to blue, even though I don't like the letters that are black there. So I will just come to my letters and change it to white. Easy, huh? You could, of course, also just highlight whatever you have information. Let's say I had information all the way to column H and row 19. I could do that if I only wanted to do some specifics. So let's say here on this other Google Sheet, I wanted to just highlight this information. I'm going to start wherever my first item is I want copied. I'm going to click on that, and then I'm going to drag my cursor holding down my left key to however many rows I probably wanted to. Let's say it's that. And if whatever is highlighted is what I'm going to copy, again, I can go, let's do the edit this time, edit, copy. And now I'm going to take it to our Tech Cafe tab. I'm going to add another sheet. I'll rename it later, and I can go to the corner if I want also and paste it there. And it's going to give me the information that I had on the other sheet. Now you'll notice that it didn't format it the way I had it here because my columns were a lot more narrow. So that's for another session, but That way you can at least see how you can copy and paste onto other sheets or down here at the bottom. And then you can see that I have all the way reading, writing, and what have you. Any other questions on that? And I'm going to move on to a next little section. Okay, awesome. So I wanted to show you some things other than just entering in data that I think is fun. So imagine you are teaching a class with different charts. So I have on this sheet, instead of going to Google Docs, I could in Google Sheets do something very similar. Let's say this was a chart that my kids are going to refer back to, or maybe they're doing a word hunt. And I've titled it Common Irregular Verbs. And maybe for my second language learners, I want a visual to show the word begin so they can have something to connect to. You can insert images inside a cell, or you can insert it over a cell. So just like Google Docs and Google Slides, I'm going to go to insert. I'm going to go to insert, and it's going to ask me, I'm going to insert an image. When I go to insert the image, it's going to ask, do you want it, the image in the cell that I've clicked, or do I want it over the cell that I clicked? So if I do it in the cell, you're going to get this tiny little thing here. If I do it over, I can adjust the size of it. So let me show you how to do that. I'm going to click on this cell right here, and I'm going to insert image, and I'm going to do it in the cell. It takes you just like Jamboard and everything else. I'm going to go to either let's go to Google search, and I'll say running. When I go look for running, here you go. I'm just going to put this guy just because why not? And I can't see because of this thing again. And I'm going to insert it. And you'll see I have this little picture, but I can't do a whole lot with it. I duplicated it, but I can't do a whole lot other than duplicating it, right? So if I do insert image and I do it outside the cell or over the cell, as they say, and I'm going to do my running, and I'm going to take that same guy and insert him. You'll see it's going to come out bigger. And now I can move it, or I can highlight it. And now when I have my little guide tools, I can shrink it down to whatever size I want. And if I put it, let's say here, and the students need to see what is that a picture of? They can enlarge it. They can bring it down. If you're teaching, you can do the same thing. You can enlarge it, you can shrink it. So I find it more useful to do it over the cell versus in the cell because it's way too small. Another thing that I've done is we see it when we're doing our our daily attendance, right, for school, as far as if the kids attended Zoom or whatever else. And so inserting these check boxes is also really helpful. And I'll show you for something else that you can do it for. But again, you're going to go to insert, and you're going to scroll down, and you're going to see something that says check boxes. So if I'm going to do it in just one, it'll give it to me here. Insert that little checkbox. If I want to highlight several cells, I'm going to highlight several cells like so. So wherever I want to start, and then I drag it down. I'm going to go to insert, checkboxes, and there they are in each of the cells. So let's say students are going, oh, I just read something and I saw the word become. They can click on what they saw. Or let's say you are working on an independent work schedule and you've sent this out to students, or you have your RSP or your speech kiddos coming to you, and you've inserted the images of the different platforms they're supposed to be working on. This is incorporating everything that we just did. And so now the student can go click. I just did my ELD, Imagine Learning. I need to work on math next. So that's just a different way of using Google Sheets. that you can send it out to students, or you can use it for yourself as a cute little check-in versus Google Docs that we, I think, typically use for things like this, for little posters or charts. Any questions on all that I just showed, which was kind of a lot?
I have a question. I tend to use slides a lot, Google Slides for teaching. Do you find yourself you're using Google Sheets more than you are slides, or is it kind of equal, or just depends on
I use a lot of sheets for things like this, anything with checkoffs, things with grading, attendance. I use them for collections of words. So like on this sheet here, you'll see at the bottom, thinking about my second language learners again, these were common academic verbs. And so I use this also for a collection of words. And in this case, the vocabulary. So you can color code for cognates. You can insert a note if you want, so that anything that has these little triangles at the corner, and again, guess how easy that is. If you click on the cell and you go to insert, and then you're going to scroll down to where you see notes. I can type in a note right here. Here is my note. And I can put the Spanish version or whatever, and lo and behold, there's a little triangle. So when you hover over that cell, it gives you whatever is hiding behind there if students need that as support. So it all depends on what I'm using. I use Google Slides more for instructional teaching purposes. I use this for collections of materials that they can refer back to, charts and so on and so forth, or contracts, work schedules, things like that.
Celeste, are those dark boxes? Is that just manipulating grid lines?
Ha ha ha, smarty, yes. So those are one of my favorite things also. I cannot stand when there are charts and you don't have the boxes. So if I print this up, I'm going to have all the grids in there, right? If I don't, it's going to be just a bunch of names and information, and it's not going to be sorted and look pretty at all. So again, what you'll do is you're going to, let me go to my tech one here. You're going to highlight what you want to have the grids on. So let's say I had, this was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and I'm of course not spelling it all right or correctly at all. But let's say I wanted all this to have little grid boxes. I'm going to highlight what I want. And then up at the top next to the paint can, these are your favorite friends right up here. You're going to click the little foursquare, and these tell you what you want to have done. My favorite is, of course, all the boxes. And now when I go to print it, if I need something handy, a hard copy, those will have boxes there for it. Again, to make it look pretty, if I want to center things, again, just like docs, I'm going to highlight everything. I'm going to go on this top thing and where my alignment is. The one thing with sheets is when you click on it, you definitely have to go down and choose which one you want. So I'm going to center it, and there it is. I'm going to leave those highlighted. I'm going to change my font just like on any other Google, and there I have it. And of course it's too small, so I'm going to come to my font size and I'm going to make it bigger. Okay, so yes, the grid is going to be right next to your paint can, and that'll give you various borders. If you didn't want the grids down here and you wanted to undo it, you go back to the borders and you have a plain grid, and it takes them all away. Keep in mind though, that if you did want these on the first column, it took that grid away on this side. So you'll probably have to redo it. Or if you just want, let me show you one line. Here's the one that has it underneath, and now I have underlined like a title or what have you. There was one more thing that I know is a pet peeve of mine. Yes. Okay, so if you notice on this screen, I was trying to write fractions, sets, and blah, blah, blah. So if I am to write, and this is my column, and I wanted to write a note, let's say about a student, has been completing all their work. Not that I would say that, but when I click off Okay, annoying. It goes all the way into the other cells. Two things you could do. You could obviously drag this to make it as big as your sentence, but now you're going to have this sheet that's going to continue across your board. Let me undo it. You could double click on that column line and it's going to extend it for the size of the text you have in there. Or, oops, it's about time for me to let you guys go too. Or lastly, you could highlight that cell. And if you come up, you have to highlight the text, sorry. If you come up here and you go to text wrapping and get the curved arrow, it's going to put it all in that cell, and it's almost as if you're hitting the return button. Because that's the one thing, if you hit return here, it's not going to go into that same cell, it's going to go into the next cell. So those are just some pet peeves of mine, I know, when it came to doing Excel, like how come I can't get it to fit? So I think our time is about up, you guys. Are there any last minute questions or anything I needed to clarify based on what I showed?
How do you save the sheets in a folder? Like,
oh, okay. So if you go up to your little, if you did new sheets or sheets.new, if you come up to the folder where it'll tell you where do you want it, and I believe it started me off here. So I just, if you want to do it a shared drive with your 3rd grade or 4th grade or 6th grade, whatever team, specialist team, you could go here. I'm going to put it in my drive. I'm going to pick my folder. It's going to go into, let's say, my distance learning. I'm going to keep clicking the arrow. I want to put it, let's say, into my classroom. And I want that part of ELD. Oh, that's math. So I'm going to put it ELD or math. And then I'm just going to say move here. Soon as I say move here, now when I go into my drive, it's in the right section for me to find it.
okay, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. You guys, thank you so much. If there aren't any other questions, let me stop sharing. If there aren't any other questions, I believe you are free to go. You're going to want to go back to your menu. And again, you can stay if you still have questions because the next class starts at 1:05. Go back to your menu to choose whatever next drink you want for the afternoon. Keep it a good drink or stay and you can ask a couple more questions for the next couple minutes. Thank you again. You guys enjoy the rest of your day in the rain. It was good seeing you. For those of you who I could see.
Bye.
Take care,
Thank
Sam.
you.
Take care, Carolyn.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Bye, Wendy. Take care.